giving less of a... Why does it matter? Your body, your choice. Tugging on her dress like, Mummy. Oh, that's a bit of a wonky nose. Is a walking red flag. I don't actually know if I've mentioned this on camera before. Why do I feel like I'm getting emotional? I don't think it's a good idea. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're watching this on the 8th of March, happy International Women's Day. This jumper is a bit out of my comfort zone, I'm not gonna lie. It's very bright. The main reason I wanted to get it is because it says Pinky Promise on it. And it's spelled like Pinky, my dog. And I'm hopefully planning to do something quite colourful with my eyes today, so I thought I'd put on a colourful jumper to sort of match the vibes, even though I think I'm gonna do something pink and orange on my eyes. And I've worn a green jumper, but we'll figure that out as we go along. So I'm going to be sitting down with you guys, doing a makeup look on my face while I answer some of your questions that you sent in on Instagram. Because I have not done a girl talk kind of video for nearly 2 years now. The last time I filmed one of these, I was 23. I'm now 25, and I feel like even in the past, like almost 2 years, I've had even more life experiences. Not that I'm like a guru or anything. So I got you guys to ask me some questions. Basically anything that you wanted advice on. And obviously it's called girl talk, but anyone can watch this video. If you feel like you relate to it, whatever you identify as, that is totally fine. And you might notice I've got a couple prints behind me, which I will show you close-ups of in a sec, because I'm working with Desenio on their International Women's Day campaign, which was an opportunity that came up, and I thought it was a really cool campaign, and I loved the whole idea around it. They've basically collaborated with 5 female artists for International Women's Day, and 20% of the sales of these prints that I'm about to show you guys is being donated to Plan International, which is a charity that helps to work towards girls' rights and just their general quality of life all over the world. Let me just go and grab them actually. So first up I went for these 2 prints, which are obviously both by the same artist, just because I really like the colours of them and I thought that they would look really nice in this room, because they've also got like really cool makeup sort of painted onto them. I just really like the style of the prints, and also as well, these come in different sizes. You can get different frames for them. I just went for the classic sort of black frames. So I think I'm going to do a makeup look inspired by these kind of colours today. And then from a different artist, like I said, they collaborated with 5 different female artists. I also really liked these 2. These ones are a lot more sort of neutral and simplistic and very sort of abstract, but I just really liked these. I really like the simplicity of them, and I really like the neutral colours. I mean, they're kind of polar opposites to the ones that I just showed you, but I thought I'd show you these 2 as well, just in case anybody likes things that are a bit more of like a neutral vibe. And I do also have a discount code, which is Soph40 to save money on the prints, and it gets you 40% off prints from the Desenio website. I will leave a link down below. There are some exclusions, and I will put like the date and everything that is valid till. And just in general on Desenio, they have got so many different styles of prints, like any single colour and style that you could imagine. Just type it in on Desenio, they've probably got it. And they also have the gallery wall feature. If you guys watch my vlog channel, you know that we actually have a Desenio gallery wall downstairs in the living room where you can sort of like pick your prints and see how it's all laid out on their website, and then you can just like purchase your gallery wall that you've sort of designed, which is really cool. I just thought it was a really lovely campaign to be a part of. I'm gonna get into answering some of your questions and doing a fun and colourful makeup look. So I will try and mention everything that I'm using, but if I do forget, because I am obviously going to be answering questions and stuff, I will leave all of the makeup that I use down below. But I am actually going to start with my eyes and my eyebrows. The first question that I'm going to answer is, how often should you see your boyfriend to have a balance of seeing them but also having your own space? I'm actually using that Boohoo brow wax. And to be honest, I feel like the answer to this one is whatever you're both comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answer of like how often you should be seeing your partner. I think as long as you don't just completely spend all your time with them and then like cut off your friends and family, then whatever you're both happy with. It is obviously important to have some time for yourself as well, so that you're not just with one other person, you know, 24/7, because I think everyone needs a bit of sort of downtime and just like a bit of time to yourself, so that you're not constantly like relying on someone else and like their sort of attention, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I think if you just have a chat about that and like whatever you guys are both sort of comfortable with, I would say, well, like for example, when me and James weren't living together, we would see each other maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. But then also I know other people that just see their partners once a week and that works for them and it's totally fine. Obviously it's a bit different when you move in together, because then you're seeing them every single day, but even when you do end up living with your partner, like it's still, I think, important to have time where you go off and do your own things and sort of like see your own own friends and like do your own, I don't know, like hobbies and stuff. So I think, yeah, it's good to have a balance, but just have a chat about it and see like what you guys are both feeling. Me and James would do like Saturday evening and then Sunday and then like a Wednesday or something, but there's no set rules for it. I think as long as you are making time for yourself, then go with what you're comfortable with. I'm now just using the Rare Beauty brow pencil in Cool Brown. The next question is what to do if you know someone likes you but you don't like them and they keep dropping hints even though they know you're not interested. Are you sure they know that you're not interested? I think this is one of those situations where if you've told somebody already that you're not interested, then they should hopefully respect that. Maybe like if you're friends with the person and if you want to remain friends with the person, just have an honest chat with them and be like, look, I really don't want to hurt your feelings. Like I really like you, you're a great person, but I just don't see a sort of like romantic connection between us, but I'm more than happy to be friends. I think there was actually a couple questions that were similar to this about like things being awkward if either someone was to tell their friend that they had feelings for them or their friend has told them that they've got feelings for them or vice versa. Does that make any sense? I do believe you can get over that kind of thing. Like if somebody's told you that they like you and you don't feel the same, as in like in a romantic way, you've just got to be honest with them and be like, look, I just don't feel it. Like I'm really, really sorry, but I really like you as a friend and I know that that's probably not what you want to hear, but I've got to go with what I'm feeling. Like obviously they're probably gonna be quite upset about it, but if they don't sort of understand that and they don't want to still be your friend, then that's kind of their loss. I've been through situations in the past, like when I was a lot younger, with certain friends that said that they had feelings for me. They asked me out and I had to be like, I'm really sorry, but you know, you're just a good friend. And I mean, sure, it was a bit awkward at first, but after a while it was actually totally fine and we went back to just being friends and it was all good. So it doesn't have to ruin a friendship, but obviously every situation is different. Sometimes it can. So just while I prime my eyes, this next one is a really big question and it says, I want to marry my man, should I just ask him? My first question is, have you had the conversation with marriage with your partner? Because, you know, is marriage something that you both want? I mean, I'm assuming that the answer is yes. If you've had a chat about it and if you feel like it's been enough time and everything and you are ready for marriage, why not? It's 2022. If you're not particularly bothered about who asks who in the relationship, and you know, because I feel like some men are quite like, oh, I want to be the one that proposes or whatever, and some women are wanting to sort of be proposed to. But if you don't mind about who proposes and, you know, if it wouldn't sort of upset your partner because maybe he wants to do like a big proposal or something, maybe he's already planning a proposal, who knows. Basically, the ultimate answer is why not? If you want to marry your partner, then I think that is a beautiful thing. And if you want to propose, then go for it. That is so exciting. Like for myself personally, since I was a little girl, I've sort of like dreamed of like being proposed to, but that's probably just because that's what society put into my head of being like, yes, man loves woman, man proposes to woman. Whereas obviously that is not the case for every relationship on the planet. And as I grew up, I certainly realised that. And thank goodness that the world is a much more accepting place these days. I mean, it's still got a way to go, don't get me wrong. Okay, so let me just look at these prints again. If I move out of the way, you can see that there's a lot of orange in there and pink and blue. Pretty much got every colour of the rainbow, but the colours that stand out most to me are like the bright orange and the pink and the blues. I'm gonna go in with my Super Spice palette. Let's do pink and orange on my lids, and then I might do like 2 shades of blue liner and maybe blue on my inner corners and maybe a bit of yellow in there. The next question is it weird to have never been in a relationship / had sex at 22? The answer to that is no, absolutely not. You are definitely not alone in that. There are plenty of 22-year-olds that have never been in a relationship and never had sex. And no, it is not weird. Honestly, 22 is still young. If you think about the grand scheme of the rest of your life, you have got plenty of time to find a partner. And I think some people by the age of 22, they just haven't found their person yet. And maybe you don't feel comfortable being intimate with people that you're not like in love with. And so if you haven't sort of had that deeper relationship with somebody, then of course, like, you shouldn't feel like you should do it just for the sake of it, you know? I think take life and take relationships whatever pace you want to do that. I know people that were in your exact same position, and I promise you, your time will come where you will meet someone. I think there's quite a lot of pressure in the UK and like in society in general to sort of like lose your virginity as soon as you become of age, but there are plenty of people that don't. And no, it is not weird. Like, about, there's people that are waiting for marriage and maybe haven't found their person yet. There's people that just haven't met somebody that they want to get into a relationship with, and that's totally fine. I can assure you that there's probably other people that are watching this video that are also in the exact same position as you. And I've had friends that are in the exact same position with you, and I did not think that they were weird in the slightest. Kind of just want to leave my eyeshadow there. I'm not going to, but I really like how it's turned out in this shape. I think I will add a little bit of pink into it. The next question is, how does your perspective on life change from a teenager to in your 20s? That is a very good question, because I really feel like my perspective on life has changed from being a teenager to in my 20s. I mean, not only did I sort of think as a teenager that like everything had to be stuck to like a strict timeline, in terms of like, I used to think, oh yeah, like I'll be engaged at 21, I'll be married at 22, I'll have babies at 23, and then you get to that age and it's like, no, I still felt like a baby at 21, honestly. And obviously everyone takes life at a different pace, and there are people that are like married with babies at 21, and if you want to do that, then that's totally fine. But I think, yeah, that is something that I definitely realised, like going into my 20s, is that everyone is at a different pace of life, especially turning 25 and now being in my mid-20s. I feel like this is such an age where some people are engaged, some people are married, some people have got 2 kids, some people are pregnant, some people are still living at home with their parents, some people are still studying at uni, you know, some people are like me, like living with their partner but not married or having babies, and everyone is doing life their own way. And I think as you go from a teen to your 20s, you kind of start giving less of a what other people think, and you start like living life a bit more for you. Well, that's what I've definitely sort of done anyway. I know I'm only in my 20s, but life is short, and I want to do things that make me happy and not be as bothered about what everyone else is doing. Like, just try and focus on myself and my life and my friends and my family and my happiness. And I feel like when I was at school, I used to worry so much more about other people judging me, whereas now I'm just kind of like, you do you and I'll do me. Like, you know, you just realize that you've got to live your life for yourself. The older I get, the more free I feel, in terms of like, I can do whatever I want with my life. Like, this is my life, no one else can sort of like tell me what to do with it, kind of thing, which is nice. I'm gonna live for me and I'm gonna do what makes me happy. I'm just gonna take a bit of yellow to maybe blend out the edges a bit, even though I don't really want to. But there was a kind of similar question that said, how do you start following your dreams and not care what others think or say? Like I said, this is something that sort of comes with time, but you've just got to realize that your life is your life. Like, you don't get to do it over. Do the things that make you happy, because at the end of the day, imagine you're like 100 years old and you're coming to the end of your life, and you might be thinking, oh, I really wish that I'd done this amazing thing that I really wanted to do, and now I've missed my chance because I was worried about what other people might think of me. You don't want to sort of be in that position. You want to get to the end of your life and think, yeah, you know what, I did everything that I wanted to do, and I lived my life for me, and I didn't let anyone sort of stop me. I know that's probably quite deep. I think realistically, you just have to do the things that make you happy. Otherwise, like, what's the point in having your own life? Yeah, like, there might be some people that don't approve of what you're doing, but as long as you're not hurting anyone else, I say go for it. Like, imagine I'd never started my YouTube channel because I was worried about what people might think of me. I wouldn't have done some of the amazing, like, opportunities that I've got to do. I wouldn't have this collaboration with Revolution. I know that's like a example that's very specific to me, but I think you've just got to go for it. What is your opinion on losing weight or diet culture? I personally think if you are wanting to lose weight for yourself and you wanting to do it in a healthy way, then fine. But if you are wanting to lose weight because either someone else has told you that you need to lose weight, or you are wanting to lose weight because you feel like you need to fit into whatever society standards, then don't do that. I never ever think that you should say to someone, like, make a comment to someone about their weight, because you never know what that person might be going through. I think diet culture can be very toxic, especially in the media, and oh my goodness, I feel like things have got slightly better than what they used to be, but there is still a huge problem with people sort of like picking at celebrities' appearances in magazines and stuff. Why do they do that? First of all, it's none of their business. Second of all, if somebody is like happy and healthy in their body, why does it matter if they've put on a bit of weight? Who cares? I had a situation about a year ago where somebody that I hadn't seen in a long time saw me for the first time in a couple of years and literally said to me, my God, you've put on weight. Putting on weight isn't always a negative thing that people sort of make it out to be, but you just should not comment on it ever, because you don't know what that person might be going through and if you're gonna like send them spiraling, you know? So yeah, I guess that's my take on that. You know what? I think I'll do my base next so that I can sort of like clean up the edges with foundation and concealer and stuff. I'm gonna use my Rare Beauty foundation. I've really been enjoying this actually. Okay, next question. I'm 27 and married. Should I have kids by now? Because I'm not ready and feel pressured. The absolute short answer of this is no. If you're not ready to have kids, don't have kids. That is simple as that. I know that you might feel pressure from maybe other people in your life, other people in society, but if you are not ready to have kids, then that is your choice. At the end of the day, it is your body, it is your life, and having kids is a huge commitment. Like, it's not something at all that you should be pressured into. And I think also as well, in this day and age, people have kids at all different stages of life, whereas it used to obviously be a bit more normal to have kids in your like early 20s, whereas now I think the average age for having kids, if you even want kids, is definitely getting higher and higher. And so even if you don't want kids, that's also totally fine. You shouldn't feel like you have to have kids just because it's the normal thing to do. One second, let me just zoom you out a bit. But no, your body, your choice. The next question is, have you had your smear? As a nurse, uptake is low currently, so can you raise awareness? I haven't, however, I have just booked in for it, so it is coming up very soon. But I do just want to say, I have actually had one before, I think when I was like 20 or 21, when the hospital were doing some like deep diving into my like painful period pains and stuff. I believe they did a smear test just to see if, you know, there was anything wrong. So in the UK, you can start getting your smear tests from the age of 25, but I think you can get it like up to 6 months before. So if you're watching this and you're putting off your smear test, go and book yours. It is so important. And if you are unsure of what a smear test actually is, it is where they take a small sample swab from your cervix to check for any abnormalities. It is so important to go and get it done. And I think a lot of people put it off because one, they're sort of like maybe embarrassed of having to like get their bits out for a nurse, but they don't care. They see it all the time and you will be absolutely fine. I'm not sure how it works in other countries, but in the UK, that's sort of how it works. This is the KVD Good Apple Concealer, by the way. I've got the shade Light 109. Babies before marriage or marriage before babies. Totally up to anyone. And if you don't want to get married and if you don't want to have babies, absolutely fine. A lot of my cousins had babies and then got married. And then from that sort of experience, like all of my cousins' weddings that I've been to, they've then had their kids at their wedding, which I know can definitely be stressful. I remember at one of my cousins' weddings, one of their babies sort of was like walked down the aisle and was like came up to her and was like tugging on her dress like, "Mummy." And I think she ended up having to pick up her baby while she was saying her wedding vows. For me personally, I always sort of said like I would want to get married and then have kids, but to be honest, I'm at a sort of stage in my life where I'm like, if it was to happen that I would have kids before I'm married, then I guess I'll just sort of go with the flow, you know? If we would be blessed enough to have a baby in the first place, you know, if it came along before we'd got married, then I'm not gonna not want the baby. Do you get what I mean? I think we'd be delighted either way. I mean, ideally, I'd like to get married and then have babies because I don't really want to have babies at my wedding, but who knows? I am using the Kiko contour stick in 200. Oh, that's a bit of a wonky nose. When did you know that you were ready to move in with your boyfriend? And same for him. We were both working. We were both seeing each other sort of like after work on some days. My parents were both working. His parents were both working. We would all be trying to like cook our dinner at the same time. Me and James had got really into like cooking our own meals and cooking together. And that's what we would do when we would sort of go to each other's houses, because we wouldn't necessarily want to eat whatever our parents were eating and what his parents were eating. And so we'd want to cook for ourselves, but then we'd all be bumping into each other in the kitchen. And obviously like with like staying over and stuff, we would just have my room or like his room to just chill out in. I think when our parents would go away and we would sort of have the house to ourselves, we would started having conversations of like, oh, how nice would it be like when we have our own house one day. It was quite a natural progression, I guess. I didn't even tell James until about 6 months into our relationship that I was planning on buying a house, because before I met James, my plan was to buy a house. I met James and I wasn't going to let that sort of disrupt my plans, because I still wanted to do that sort of for myself. And in my mind anyway, when I was sort of in the stages when I was single, I was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to get my own place anyway. And then if I do meet somebody, like if they have their own place, then cool. If they don't have their own place and they want to move in with me, then cool. That can happen. So I think after about 6 months, James started talking about, because by that point we were like relatively serious, and we started sort of like talking about like, oh, like if we had our own place, and James would sort of bring up maybe like looking for like flats or something to live in. And that's when I sort of had the conversation with him, being like, actually, like I was, you know, hoping to buy my own place in the next sort of year or two, because I hadn't even sort of like told him that up to that point. If you are wanting to move in with your partner, just be honest with them, sit and have the chat about it and be like, look, like what are you thinking? Like, do you think it would be cool to move in with each other? Like, is that something that you would want to do? But I think you'll both know sort of like when you're ready. And one person might be ready before the other. Like sometimes it works out like that somebody might want to like live with their friends first, which again is totally fine. Just go at whatever pace you're both comfortable with. I'm going to take the Boohoo blush in Cute, because I used the shade Peachy the other day, and so I'm going to go with Cute. I am going to do more to my eyes, by the way. I'm just doing my cheeks and just blabbering on clearly. Next question says, what to do if you're a fussy eater and scared of meals with boyfriend's family? Obviously, you know, when I say all these questions, a lot of people have said boyfriend or girlfriend, but whoever you're dating, if it's boyfriend, girlfriend or other, then, you know, the same sort of applies to every relationship kind of situation. But I think just talk to your boyfriend and get them to talk to his parents, and I'm sure they will understand. Like, have the conversation before you go around there so that you don't have any awkward sort of like not eating the food, because I think that would be more awkward. Get your partner to have that conversation with his parents beforehand so that they can cook something that you will actually like, and I'm sure they would probably appreciate that a lot more. I was and am quite a fussy eater, and I think when I was going around to James's parents for the first time and having a meal with them, he just sort of spoke to them and said like, you know, she doesn't like this food or she does like this food, and we just sort of like went from there. I don't think you should be embarrassed about that at all, and I'm sure that they will fully understand. What to do when your bestie's boyfriend is a walking red flag? I think this can definitely be difficult if you don't particularly like your best friend's partner. It can be tricky. I would say just have an honest conversation with them and be like, look, did you know that they've done this? Or like, have you noticed this? Or I'm a little bit worried about this particular thing that they've done and I don't want them to hurt you or whatever. And I think once you've had that honest conversation with your friend, they can take on your advice, but at the end of the day, they can ultimately do what they want, like with their relationship. I think sometimes people in their own relationships have to sort of realize themselves what's going on, and they might not necessarily want to listen to other people's advice, which can be really difficult actually. But I think as long as you make sure you have that open and honest conversation with your friend and sort of maybe point those things out to her, and it might sort of get her in her head thinking, oh, okay, maybe they're right, like I was thinking that this was a bit of a red flag and this has just sort of confirmed it. I think you've got to have that chat with them, but at the end of the day, they've got to make the decision, you know? You can't force someone to break up with someone. But yeah, I would just say be there for your friend and just keep checking in with her to be like, oh, how are things going? Like, you know, are you happy? Is there anything you want to talk about kind of thing? Then I think that's all you can really do. I'm actually using the e.l.f. Halo Glow Powder that you guys recommended to me the other week. I really like it. Okay, this question says, my bestie does nothing but talk about her ex, like literally doesn't even ask, how are you? That is a problem. If one of your friends is not asking how you are and they're not seeming like they're interested in your life and they're only talking about themselves, I think that is something that you have to bring up with your friend. You just have to say to them, look, like all you're talking about is yourself and your ex, and you have not asked me once sort of how I'm doing, and that's not like being a good friend at the end of the day. I think in a friendship it has to work both ways. You have to both be interested in each other's lives, and I feel like it gets a bit exhausting when it gets to the point of, you know, your friend not asking you how you're doing and just talking about themselves. And I think definitely have the chat with them and be like, look, this is actually really hurting my feelings that you're not just asking anything about me, and hopefully then they will apologize. Hopefully they will sort of like take what you've said on board, and then, you know, things will sort of hopefully be better and go back to normal. But if they don't, and you have to sort of mention it multiple times, then I don't know, I just feel like that's not really the best kind of friendship, because it needs to work both ways. If you're having to keep telling somebody that they're not asking you about yourself, and you're having to keep reminding them to ask how you are, sometimes in those situations it's sort of like the friendship is sort of drifted, and maybe you should find someone like a better friend that's actually gonna ask you how you are without you having to prompt them, if that makes sense. But I hope things get better. I'm sorry to hear that. And there was another question that said how to cut off fake friends, which I guess kind of like ties into it. I think if a friend isn't making you happy and you're not like getting value from each other, like you know, when you're friends with somebody, you want to laugh with them, you want to have fun with them, you want to be like chatting to them and get advice from each other, and you want to enjoy the time that you spend with them. And I think when it gets to a point where you like dread hanging out with somebody, I think that's a point where it's sort of toxic. Or like I said, if they're not asking you any questions about your life and just talking about themselves, or if they're ever bringing you down, then I think that's the point where it gets a bit toxic. Maybe like stop replying to them as much, stop replying to them as quickly, because if the friendship isn't like benefiting you and you think it has got toxic and you've tried resolving it and it's not really worked, then you can't just like carry on like that forever, you know. And so if you want to do the easy way, I'd say like just try and drift from them, try and like reply less and see them less and stuff. Or a different way, which potentially could be more hurtful to them and or you, is to like send them a full-on message and be like, look, I think this friendship has got toxic, it's not working out for me anymore, I don't think we should be friends. Which obviously like the other person is probably going to be like, whoa, that's upsetting and that's a lot. But if you feel like that's what you need to do and just literally like cut all ties, and if you're brave enough to do that and you feel like you need to do that for yourself, then I don't necessarily think that you shouldn't do that, but I think the other route is probably easier. By the way, I just used the Kiko Flawless Fusion Powder Bronzer in 02, which looks like this. I actually really like it. It's not quite as good as the marble ones, but I do like it. I'm going to use this blush in Unlimited blush in 05, which is also another Kiko one, because it's more of a pinky toned blush, which kind of matches the writing on this print behind me. This next question says, how did you know that James was the one? I think the more that I'd been on dates with James and the more that we'd seen each other and the more that we were sort of hanging out and stuff, I started to picture my life with him, which I know it sounds quite intense after not like, you know, being together that long, but I started to just imagine us moving in together. I started to imagine us getting married and like having a family together and picturing those scenarios, like us having a dog together, stuff like that. And I could really picture it in my head, and in my head, like the thought of spending forever with James and like doing life with him and like doing life experiences with him just made me really happy. Why do I feel like I'm getting emotional? Guys, I've just realised I've been talking so much that I haven't even really been paying that much attention to what my makeup looks like. And I've just realised that my cream contour is not blended enough. Let's just please ignore... Oh no. I loved the way that he made me feel. I loved how I felt when we were together. I loved the way he was treating me. I loved the way that he treated other people. We were having so much fun when we were together, and I just could picture a life with him. I think I might have actually messaged my best friend after like our 4th date or something, being like, I want to marry this man. Which, I mean, I was kind of half joking. I just remember meeting James and being like, oh, this is what a relationship is supposed to be like. This one actually says, could you recommend a bra that doesn't hurt in any way? Yes, I fully can. One sec, let me go and get it. The reason I could go and get this so quickly is because I actually got 2 for my birthday. I'm wearing one of them right now. These type of bras, this particular one is from Reebok, and I absolutely love these. This is very random, but a recommendation. I mean, obviously I can only speak from my experience of like not having big boobs at all, but I find this style of bra so comfy. It's like a sports bra. It's not underlined at all. It's basically like a bralette. It's got removable padding. It's got adjustable straps. It's got like a clasp at the back so you can get it off and on easily. But I absolutely love this one. It's called the Women's Seamless Bra Top. You can get these in TK Maxx, and I think they also sell them on Sports Direct. And I absolutely love it. And I love how it's got some of the padding in there, so it like gives you a nice shape. But they're just it's like so stretchy and comfortable. Honestly, highly recommend. Or like any bra in this kind of style. I'm just gonna use a bit of my Fenty What It Do spray. And then some of my Glow Duo highlighter palette from Revolution. This is the Sugar Frosting one. And I'm going to take this shade. This question says, accepting being part of the itty bitty titty committee. I feel like I've spoken about this before, but again, I think it's something that sort of comes with age. I don't actually know if I've mentioned this on camera before. You know what? I don't even think I've mentioned this. Actually, no, I feel like I did have a conversation with my parents about this once, sort of like just before I moved out. I was looking into different options about like booking a consultation for a boob job, and I changed my mind, and I'm glad that I did, just because there were like so many different complications involved and I just wasn't really down for that. But I don't think I would do that anymore. I mean, yes, I would love it one day if I just woke up and they'd grown. That would be great and I wouldn't complain. But again, I think it's something that's sort of like comes with age. And I mean, yeah, obviously like I'm not 100% happy with my body. I don't think anyone is 100% happy with their body, but I've definitely learned to love it a lot more, because at the end of the day, it's what I'm living in. This is me. I can't change that unless I want to spend thousands of pounds on surgery, which I don't particularly want to do. If that is something you want to do, I have nothing against that whatsoever. But yeah, I think I just sort of learnt to deal with it, and I found better fitting bras. I used to wear bras that were too big for me and were really uncomfortable and had like loads of padding, and then they would make me feel worse when I took them off. Oh, and also, oh my goodness, something that contributed so much is following people online that also have the same body type as me. And I'm gonna put a few on the screen of my favorites, because they're amazing women that speak a lot about body confidence. Absolute top tip: unfollow or mute anyone on social media that makes you feel insecure in your body every time you see them. I'm gonna zoom back in and we'll finish my eyes, because I want to get some more blue in there, and also I think I'll do pink underneath here. So I'm just taking the shade Lover. I'm going to take my baby blue graph ink liner called Bubbles from Made by Mitchell, and just bear with me, I probably won't be able to talk for this bit. Then I'm taking the Kiko Super Colour Waterproof Eyeliner in the shade 05, which I don't know if this is blue or purple. I think it might be like I think it's purple, or is it navy blue? I decided to go over the light blue with the darker blue because I feel like this looks more bold, and I will do some lighter blue in a sec. But this is needing a few layers. Actually, same with both of them. You do need to sort of like build them a little bit. I'm just adding like little bits to it. I think I might add a bit of baby pink. Right, these are my eyes without any mascara or anything. And then I also did a little bit of pink liner in my inner corner. I'm gonna just put on some mascara. So the next question actually says, I failed my driver's exam and now I'm really scared to try again. I completely sympathize with you on this. There were multiple times during me learning to drive that I nearly actually quit because I had a few like wobbles and I got scared, and I just thought, you know what, this isn't for me, I can't do it, I'm gonna have to take a break and try again like later in life. And I would take a few weeks off and then I would get back to it again, and then I feel like because I sort of kept stopping and starting, it kept sort of knocking my confidence, and in the end I had lessons for 11 months before I even took a test. Whereas I feel like a lot of my friends, they would take a driving test after like 3 months and then they would pass, and then I'd feel like I was taking too long and I would feel a lot of pressure to sort of pass my test. But it took me nearly a full year of having lessons before I even took a test, and I think by that point, after 11 months, I had gained some confidence which I didn't have before. And so I would say with your driving test, I promise you can do it. Try not to let one setback stop you from trying again, because you can do it. And I fully understand the sort of like dip in confidence after something like that, but if anything, take your time, have some more lessons, and have those lessons until you feel fully confident that you are ready for your test. Maybe taking a little break if you need to, but then when you get back in, but not too long of a break that you sort of forget everything. And when you get back into it, take it slow, keep up with the lessons, don't beat yourself up about it. I promise you can do it, and there's no race. I am going to stick on some lashes, but I'm just going to wait for my mascara to dry. This next one said, is it a good idea to be friends with an ex? I think it massively depends on the situation. If you have ended badly, or if there are still any feelings there, then I don't think it's a good idea to stay friends with your ex. But there are situations where it can work, because some of my friends have been through it. For example, if you were friends before your relationship and like say they're part of a friend group or something and it's going to be really, really hard to avoid them, then I do think you can get to a point where you can be friends. Realistically, you're not going to go back to being the besties that you were before you got together, but you can still be friends without it being awkward. It just takes time. I think if there was any sort of like messy endings to the relationship, if there are still any feelings involved, if you don't have to see them again and they're not part of your friend group and you're not going to bump into them, then I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to stay friends with them. If you've moved on with another partner and you're really happy with them, like what's the need to sort of be friends with your ex? That's how I sort of see it. But like I said, there are situations where it can work. Like if they were part of a friend group, then I think you can be friends afterwards. It just really depends on the situation. But I would say if there's any sort of like toxicity involved in the breakup, then I don't think it's a good idea. Oh, by the way, the lip combo was the Beauty Bay lip liner in the shade Whip and the Bare Minerals Mineralist Lip Gloss Balm in Ingenuity. I absolutely love this. Do you want any lashes with this? Let me know. I think I'll just do like maybe some little outer corner lashes maybe. I'll be right back. So I just found these eyeliner lashes like on the side, and I put them on, but I've realised that they're really wonky and uneven. I feel like they've been crushed a little bit. I've got to say, I love how this makeup look has turned out. The actual eyeshadow was very simple, and then the liner makes it more interesting. And hopefully I've got some of the colours of this in my look. What do we think? I think that is it for this video. I answered a lot of questions. I'm sorry this video is probably really long. But I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions on Instagram for me to answer. Obviously, like, this is just going off of my own personal experiences. I'm no professional, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Also, I've just realised I didn't even do any green on my eyes, and I've worn a green jumper for no reason. But that is it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. If you guys are wanting to save some money on the Desenio prints or check out their International Women's Day, their mini collection, I will leave all the links to that down below, and my discount code is Soph40 for 40% off the prints. Thank you so much to Desenio for sponsoring the first part of this video. I hope you guys are good, and I will see you in my next video.